So this was supposed to be my project. Skip around. This was supposed to be, basic concept, same thing as Mario, but when you turn your head, it feels 10 times cooler because you're in the game, right? Problem with that was this is React VR. React VR is not ready for Mario Kart VR, unfortunately. React VR is built on top of WebVR. What that means is it's extremely, extremely slow, and it's a lot less than what you would get out of like a Unity engine based game that has 3D rendering on like an Oculus with like some crazy graphics card and blah blah blah. So what it does is it takes so my friend lent me his Pixel because he got a Pixel 2 XL, and so what it does is basically it takes your phone and nothing but the accelerometer, and it basically cooks the phone trying to replicate what an $800 Oculus would do. It actually does a pretty good job, but the APIs are a little bit it just came out like a year or two ago, so the APIs aren't really there yet. I learned that the hard way. So the first 2 days I was like, all right, I'm gonna make this super cool racing game. It's gonna do this, that, and the third, and it's gonna be amazing. When I loaded up React VR and started looking at the APIs, I just figured, oh, okay, I don't understand what they do. Well, many of them don't do much yet, so there wasn't much to work with. So the first step for me was probably just to get the camera moving, since you're driving and you want to be able to pivot the camera and move forward, back, left, right on an XY plane. I unfortunately had to do mostly just math this weekend, and it was a lot of trigonometry. So really, React VR right now is meant for video at 360 video and 360 images. So anytime you load up, basically, well, what you would see here is probably a tourist. Basically, this is what React VR is meant for. So think like Airbnb, Marriott, like visual tours, stuff like that. It's meant for very basic stuff right now. But I didn't want to give up, and I already was 2 or 3 days in invested. So I figured, all right, let me do like something like an NPM module that can actually get me to move before I actually do a racing game. So mostly what I did all weekend was trigonometry triangles, unfortunately. And it was trying to get the camera to orient itself such that if I go forward and I turn 45 degrees to the left, it knows what direction it's going in, as opposed to just going forward and looking to the left. That was extremely difficult. So what I did was I found an NPM package that allowed you to just go forward, back, left, and right. And if I turned the camera to the left, forward was still in the same direction that it was. So that didn't work 100%. So originally, for example, if I did, so say I turned left. If I walked forward right now before my change, I would have walked to the right. So it doesn't know to reorient itself when you turn the camera, unfortunately. Yeah, hopefully Facebook hires me after this. So what I managed to do is, with a bunch of trig that I paid a lot of money for in college, I finally used it. And now if I turn left, and you look here, I turned left about, so this is re-rendering every frame. So you're gonna see like a crazy amount of console logs. So I turned left 22 degrees, and now if I walk forward, it should not walk me directly north. And then you see now it's actually like reorienting itself. And this, I know this looks absolutely like bare bones, it does nothing, but this was way too many maths for me, for my liking, for the whole weekend. But this is unfortunately the amount of code I actually did. You see there's a bunch of cosines and sines. There's supposed to be a cosine in here. That's probably where the bug is. But this is pretty much, I did this like at 9 o'clock this morning. So it really wasn't much coding all weekend, but it was mostly trig and just trying to understand. It was good. It was a good learning experience because I understood now how, like, basically any first person shooter game, like they probably start and they're spoiled with all these APIs and stuff that are built in. I basically kind of built like, a really rough one from scratch for React VR, and it wasn't there yet. So now you can you got a starting point to go forward, back, left, right, and then turn your camera and walk in the correct direction versus absolute north every single time. Yeah, extremely boring. If you're wondering why there's a compass on the ground, it's so I could make sure and I wouldn't lose my mind. And to do like the 3D stuff, I was building that in Blender. It's like a 3D asset thing for games and stuff. So yeah, ironically enough, you use a lot of math when you build video games, but you don't use so much math when you build two-dimensional programs. So I thought that was a little funny too. But so I guess node package would probably be my project rather than a racing game for now. I think that's it. Yeah.